Hi everyone, in this video we are going to go over how to compute cost of goods sold for a merchandiser, and we're going to go over how to calculate direct materials used. You can find this, work along with me from your book. S212 is what we will go over first, okay? Alright, so to compute a cost of goods sold for a merchandiser, first off, this will be completely different than when we're working on a manufacturer. And remember, service companies do not have inventory, so then they do not have cost of goods sold. Okay, so we are going to look at the practice problem first, and then I'll show you how to put it together. Okay, so let's look at ending inventory. Will that be part of cost of goods sold? Absolutely. So we're going to use that later on. Will website maintenance be part of cost of goods sold? No. Okay, so we're going to skip that. Will revenues be part of cost of goods sold? No. Will freight in be part of cost of goods sold? Yes. However, when I go over freight out, that will not be. Okay? Freight in is oftentimes related to FOB, shipping point. That means the buyer is paying for shipping. Freight out oftentimes is related to FOB, destination, so the seller is paying for shipping. We are purchasing the goods to later on sell, so that will increase our inventory. Import duties, absolutely, that will increase our inventory amount, the cost. Import duties relates to international operations. So when companies purchase merchandise internationally, oftentimes they have to pay tariffs, import duties. Well, that will increase the cost of that inventory. Marketing expenses, nope, that will not increase your inventory, okay? That's going to be expensed right on the income statement. Delivery expenses, nope. That will not increase your inventory. That will be expensed on your income statement right away. Purchases, absolutely. That's going to increase our inventory. We purchase more inventory. Beginning inventory, yes, that's what we'll begin with. So let me show you how to do a cost of goods sold statement. All right, so remember when you work in the lab will be picky when you work on that software. Make sure you put in your commas or the lab will mark you wrong, okay? All right, so calculation for cost of goods sold for a merchandiser. You will always start, great, with beginning, that marker doesn't want to work, and it smells too. That will work with beginning inventory. Okay? All right, so the beginning inventory for this practice problem is 3,800. All right, so that's going to kind of go way over to the side when you're working on your lab. That's your final number. Next, we're going to go in this order. You will put in purchases. Remember, purchases, they purchase more inventory. That will be further to the left-hand side because you're going to have a few figures that will increase this. Import duties will go next. $1,300. Next, we're going to do freight in. Remember, not freight out. Freight in, and that is 3,700. Okay, the lab will make you do subtotals. 40,000 plus 1,300 plus 3,700 will give you 45,000. Okay, all right, so now you're ready. You're going to figure out your cost of goods available for sale. This is what you have sitting in inventory before you've sold. So sitting in inventory is 48,800. Okay? All right, now we're trying to figure out the cost of goods sold. So how much of this inventory that they've sold? So how do we figure it out? We're going to back into it. They gave us ending inventory. So less ending inventory. And that is 5,900. Show that in parentheses, okay? And then you will subtract that. That will give you, finally, your cost of goods sold. You'll just subtract that, and that will be 42,900. So your answer is 42,900. Remember, when you're working in the lab, put in your commas or the lab will mark you wrong. Okay, so that's the format. Now remember, that is figuring out cost of goods sold. I've been sick. That is figuring out cost of goods sold for a merchandise company. The next one I'm going to go over is to calculate direct materials used. Okay? All right. When you see the word direct materials, that is related to a merchandising company. So if you watched my prior video, I went over the components of product costs. So let's revisit product costs: direct materials, direct labor, and overhead. Well, some of the problems will make it easy and they'll give you direct materials used. Most often they will not, so you have to figure out the direct materials used. I'm going to show you how you're going to do that. So I'm going to erase. All right. And I want to try to use a new marker because that marker stinks. Okay? All right, so let me try this. Okay, so now I'm going to go over how to do S213. Okay, so this one, they don't have as many items that do not relate to direct materials used as the last one I went over. However, let's just revisit it. So you are a new accounting term at Mason Bikes. Your boss gives you the following information and asks you to compute the cost of direct materials used. Assume that the company's raw materials inventory contains only direct materials. Okay, that's good, because if it was indirect materials, that would go to manufacturing overhead. So this is only direct materials, okay? All right, so let's look at import duties. Absolutely, that's going to increase your raw materials. Okay, again, you're purchasing international, you have to pay import expenses. That will increase that cost. Beginning raw materials inventory, yes, we will use that. Ending raw materials, yep, we're going to use that. Freight in, yes, we will use that. Freight out, what are you going to tell me? No, we will ignore that. That's a selling expense. No, do not include that. Purchases of direct materials, absolutely, we're going to include that. All right, so the setup for this one will be beginning. That's not a good marker. Okay, let me try this one. Beginning raw materials. Okay, how much is that? Let me just make sure. That is 4,700. Okay. Next item is purchases of direct materials. That is 16,000. Okay, let me just so you're clear. When you work in the lab, this will be on the far right column. Don't forget your commas. Put that comma. All right, then 16,000. Okay, next is import duties. $1,300. And then we have freight in. $400. So the three of these added together, okay, is going to be $17,700. That's those three, okay? All right, so now I'm going to add these two. I have materials available for use, okay? Add this plus this, that gives me $22,400. I'm almost done. Now I'm going to subtract less my ending raw materials. And that gives me $1,200. Okay? When I subtract that, then I have direct materials used. Okay? And that is $21,200. So your answer to direct materials used is $21,200. Make sure you understand these schedules. By the time I test, you're going to have a lot of information. So take good notes, do the practice problems in the lab, and then you'll do well on the exams. Okay? All right, so I'll see you for the next video. I try to break them up, try to chunk them so it's not too much in one video. All right, so see you soon, and get in the lab.